The south side of Chicago is buzzing with excitement as White Sox baseball has returned from Arizona. It's opening day, and US Cellular Field will be packed. It's standing room only as the Sox take on the Kansas City Royals.
A symbol of rebirth, a fresh start, a clean slate. A new season of White Sox baseball is upon us. And for Ventura and crew, it's time to make an impact.
Yeah, mercy! That ball hit hard. Stretch.
You can put it on the board. Yeah.
Opening day is finally here, and the long journey towards the postseason starts with the first step. That first step begins next on Comcast Sportsnet.
We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's Paul Konerko, Chris Sale, and Robin Ventura Sox as they get set to butt heads with Billy Butler and the tough Kansas City Royals. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you opening day 2013. And, Stoney, it's great to be back another year, buddy. And, you know, for the hundreds of players, for the thousands of baseball people around, for the millions of fans, this is the most exciting day of the season.
It's one of the great days you'll ever experience because it's a renewal. That renewal is anything that happened last year is gone. You look ahead, and this year, to me, the key to this offense is going to be Jeff Keppinger. Jeff Keppinger last year struck out 31 times and almost 400 at-bats. And in the 2 spot, I believe you're going to be able to hit and run. Diaz is going to be able to steal. If Keppinger has a good year, and I think he will, I think the guys in the middle are going to drive in a lot of runs this year.
And how about a 24-year-old southpaw, Chris Sale, first opening day start?
Not only did he win 17 last year, but he was an all-star. And Chris Sale didn't really wear down all that much as the season went on, but he's going to benefit from being in the deep water in a pennant race. So Chris Sale's the #1 guy on this staff. If he has a great year, we're going to have a terrific year. And it all starts today.
All right, sit back, relax, and strap it down. Opening day is here, and it's right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, through it all. AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. And by Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
Welcome back to U.S. Cellular Field on opening day. Milli Vanilli had nothing on our boys there. I'll tell you what, as far as lip syncing goes, they're the best in the business.
It's a good thing they can play baseball.
It is indeed. And what a beautiful day for it. Yes, it is a little chilly. However, it is bright sunshine. And that always an advantage opening day as you look at Chris Sale and Tyler Flowers talking over what they're going to do. And we're going to take a look at how Ned Yost is going to line up his Kansas City Royals this afternoon. Leading off, Alex Gordon, who had a big year last year. Alcides Escobar, who always hits very well against Chris Sale. Then Billy Butler, the DH. Mike Moustakas is at third. Salvatore Perez is healthy this year, and he's behind the plate. Eric Hosmer at first. Lorenzo Cain in center field. Jeff Francoeur in right. And our former White Sox second baseman, Chris Getz, is at second base for Kansas City. The defense and how they're going to line up behind Chris Sale. Diane Vicieto in left field. Alejandro Diaz, the leadoff man, is in center. Alex Rios is in right field, says he feels pretty good after some back problems. Jeff Keppinger starting at third. Alexi Ramirez at short. Gordon Beckham at second base. Paul Konerko is at first. And Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate. Our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Chris Sale. Last year, 17-8, just a brilliant year. Last year, he was a starter for the first time, 192 strikeouts in 192 innings. Let's take a look at the umpires today. It's going to be Jerry Lane behind the plate. Brian O'Nora is at first. Hunter Wendelstedt is at second. And Alan Porter is at third. So Kansas City, who had the best record in all of baseball in spring training, now wipes away that record. It's time to start the season. Anything you did in the spring is not really relevant as the championship season is about to begin. Our ball club looked pretty good in spring and by and large came out healthy. One of the good news stories is Jesse Crane broke with the team. I talked with him before the game. He says he feels very good. He's ready to go. John Danks, as you probably know, will start the year on the disabled list. And John is feeling no pain. He's taking his starts in simulated games in Arizona, and so hopefully he'll be back in the not-too-distant future. There's a look at Ned Yost, who many say might be on the hot seat. There are 6 new managers in baseball this year. Ned Yost, whose team is much improved. They spent some money on this ball club, and he's got to show that he can win with these guys. So they're throwing the ball around the infield. We're ready to play baseball on opening day, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
Hi, it's Stoney. Thank you, and once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here on Comcast Sportsnet. So happy you could join us for opening day 2013. So here is Alex Gordon getting ready to lead it off. He last year hit .294, 14 homers, and drove in 72 from that leadoff spot. Our 24-year-old southpaw, 6'6", 180 pounds, Chris Sale. And the first pitch of the season is taken up high for a ball. Royals last year 72 and 90, 16 games back in third place in the Central. And there's a one-hopper. So 2 pitches and 1 out. That's a good man to retire. 51 doubles and 5 triples last year.
And I talked with Don Cooper about what he expects out of Chris Sale today, and he said, I'm not going to put any type of innings restriction on him, but I want to see 105 pitches from him. If he has a relatively easy time, he'll go deep in the game. If not, he'll go a little bit shorter. But Don has supreme confidence in his pen and supreme confidence in Chris Sale.
Here's Alcides Escobar. Last year hit .293, 5 homers, and drove in 52. Really came into his own. He can really play shortstop. One of the better ones in the American League. And of course, he is the White Sox have become a White Sox killer. One of 3 hitters with 30 or more hits during the season in the last 3 years against our White Sox. He'll sit back on it. Got to get him. 35 stolen bases for Escobar last year. Meanwhile, 2 down. And what are you looking for out of Sale today as far as the stuff goes?
I think the stuff is going to be very good. He's got 3 pitches, but he changes speeds on his slider. And, you know, talking with Don Cooper, they said, well, look, because of his arm angle, he can't really teach him the cutter. The splitter is out. He's got good enough stuff with his 3 pitches if he changes speeds to be able to get anybody out. And so I'm looking for a good outing today, even though this team has been tough on him in the past.
Tough on everybody. Last year we played them 18 times, and in 18 games we won 6 of them. And Steve and I have talked about many times the last 4 years Kansas City has played us, regardless of the record, tougher than anybody in American League Central. And here is their Paul Konerko right here. Billy Butler.
He's not going to hit in the 3 spot most of the year. Ned Yost wants to hit Hosmer there, but Hosmer is not swinging the bat very well. If he shows him he can swing the bat, he'll put him 3, and then he'll go left, right in the middle.
Breaking ball down and in. Last year, Butler hit .313, 29 homers, knocked in 107. Two out, and the 1-2 pitch. Fastball. That one to 95, and here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line. 375 in the gaps in 400 straightaway center field at 44 degrees as we speak.
You expect the ball to carry today, or you think it'll be a little bit less?
No, it'll get out of here because of the adrenaline. Opening day. There's a little soft comeback and a nice 1-2-3 inning for Sale. And after happening to play, it's the Royals nothing and the good guys coming to bat.
Leading off, Jeff Keppinger in the 2 spot. Alex Rios hitting 3rd. Adam Dunn, the DH. Then it's Konerko, Viciedo, Ramirez, Flowers, and Gordon Beckham playing second base and hitting 9th. The defense and on the lineup behind big game James Shields. Gordon, Kane, and Frank Gore in the outfield with Moustakas, Escobar, Getz, and Hosmer. Salvador Perez behind the plate, and our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is James Shields. Acquired from Tampa Bay. Shields, a good year last year, 15-10. They think he's going to be the ace of this staff. 223 strikeouts. This guy is a horse, and he's got a great straight change.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. First pitch strike to Alejandro Yaza. Last year hit 281, 9 homers, and knocked in 50. Those are 29 doubles, 6 triples, and 26 stolen bases. Very quickly, the count 0-2.
Knowing that Shields has a great change, straight change, can you ever look for it, or do you just have to hit off his fastball?
Well, if he gets his breaking, the key really is getting his breaking ball over. Now all of a sudden you got 3. But you know, Steve, as we've talked about, that's the worst 5 words you can tell a hitter. He's got a great changeup.
He's got one of the best, and he calls it a modified circle. It's not an entire circle change, but it's pretty good, and he has a lot of guys swinging at the motion.
Off the end of the bat. Getz. And that'll bring up newly acquired, got a terrific spring, Jeff Keppinger. Keppinger, one of the guys that's going to be in that 2-hole, a welcome addition. Last year at Tampa Bay, hit 325, 9 homers, and drove in 40. That wide open stance, facing his former teammate. Looking for it, got it into center field. Kane is there. That's 2 down.
This is an outfield that can throw all the way around. Perennially, Gordon and Frank Gore among the league leaders in assists. And Lorenzo Cain in center field has a better than average arm. So they can run, they can throw. And defensively, they're probably as good as just about anybody left to right.
Here's Rios. Alex last year, 304, 25 homers, 91 driven in. Lifetime against Shields. 45 at bats, 10 hits, 9 of which stayed in the park.
You just have to hope that Shields will get behind, as he has with Rios, and get to a point where maybe the straight change is out of the equation. You can just look fastball.
Well, I was just going to ask you that. That's a field pitch, like your curveball was a field pitch for you in this cold weather. That has a chance to affect him.
That's exactly what Shields said. He said he doesn't mind the cold if he can feel the baseball. He said that's of critical importance.
That's low.
I think most pitchers, once they get loosened up, they're going to be able to feel the baseball. And of course, they do give you that rosin bag, which is absolutely useless to you, by the way, because it makes the ball slicker. Nice thought. It just doesn't work.
Tradition.
No, I guess so.
Payoff. And there's the base hit. The first base hit of the season, right back through the middle.
Rios got in a situation where he was looking fastball. He got one. It was down. And starting this year as he ended last year, he had just a great year last year. Starts with a base hit back up the middle. Now you have to keep a close eye on Salvador Perez, their catcher, because he loves to throw, especially behind left-hand hitters, to try to pick you off the first base. He has the all-time season record for the Kansas City Royals and is tied for the all-time record in pickoffs for the Royals.
So Alex, who had 23 stolen bases and 29 attempts at first, and here's Adam. Last year, 204, 41 homers and 96 knocked in. Takes ball one.
Adam has had a whole lot of luck on opening day. 8 opening day home runs, including the last 2 years in a row in a White Sox uniform, tied with Ken Griffey Jr. and Frank Robinson, neither of which are likely to have anymore. I like Adam's chances.
Well, he's one of 3 White Sox players to homer in consecutive opening days himself, Jim Thome and Dick Allen. And last year, 54.5% of his base hits were extra base hits. Checks it up. I like the dialogue that's coming out between Manto and Dunn now, talking about working on approach.
Well, we saw Adam hit more balls to left field in spring training, and I don't know if he was just going there because that's what spring training is all about, and he won't carry it over into the year. But if he does, he can drive in a lot of runs on pitches just off the outside corner because nobody's home on the left side.
Well, if he can hit 10, 12, 13 home runs to left field this year, he'll probably wind up hitting 40 or 50. 3-1 to count. Dunn, 7 for 20 lifetime against Shields with a homer.
If Shields does throw a fastball and gets it down, Dunn should have a real good swing at it.
He just missed it. He just missed it. High towering. Fly ball. Escobar makes the call, has the ball, and that'll retire the side after 1 no score. Chris Sale, including his warm-up tosses. And of course, this year we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the very exciting 1983 ball club. Lost in the playoffs to Baltimore, and there was the lineup. Top 3 of Law, Bernazard, Baines, Luzinski, Walker, Pachorik, the Whimperoo in left field. It's a good thing he had helmets back in those days. Fisk, Law, and Fletcher with Lammer, Lamar Hoyt on the bump.
Lamar went on to have a great year, and Rudy Law went on to cover a lot of left center field.
Well, you know, Lamar won 24 games. Richard Dotson won 22. The threesome of Hoyt, Dotson and Bannister went 42-5 or 42-6 the second half of the season.
Pretty amazing. That was a wonderful baseball team.
Well, we started off 14-26 that year and wound up winning 99 games and winning the division by 20. It without question, in my whole career as a player and as a broadcaster, a team is he gone. Moustakas strikes out, but that team had more chemistry than any team I have ever been around or ever seen. They were absolutely unbelievable.
We'll pan around and show you a sellout crowd, standing room only, in fact, today. It's turned into really a beautiful day. As you can see, Chris Sale going sleeveless.
That ball is smoked by Perez. That's just going to be a single. As Tank gets it back in. Salvador Perez picks up the first Kansas City hit.
Here's our Menards pitch tracks. And Salvador Perez, who's going to be just about as good as it gets behind the plate, gets one up. Sale didn't want it there, and Viciedo does a very good job of not getting trapped too close to the wall. That ball bounded back to him. Perez doesn't run very well. Viciedo has a strong arm, and that's one of the hardest hit singles you'll see outside of Fenway Park.
Yeah, he didn't have a chance to get trapped on that wall. So here is Hosmer. Had a very disappointing 2012 season, hitting at .232, 14 homers, and 60 RBIs. And to get to those numbers, he had to finish up pretty strong.
I assume you expect that he's going to come back and have a pretty decent year.
He got a chance to be a monster. He has an absolute opportunity to be one of the most devastating hitters in this league.
The Royals feel that they're in great shape at the corners for a lot of years to come with Moustakas and Hosmer. And Moustakas had a great spring. Hosmer, it was okay.
In the games against us last year, Hosmer did very little damage against us. And the reason being, it was not because he didn't have good pitches to hit. He did. He just fouled them off, popped them up.
I also
think you can't expect that to keep on going.
He had a nose-to-toe strike zone. He swung at a lot of pitches that he couldn't handle.
Breaking ball just did get a piece of that. Yeah, he does not go up there taking. He does not go up there sitting on a pitch. His philosophy is every pitch is his. Now, once he gets to the point that every pitch is his until he sees it's not, then that's when he's going to be a monster. That's foul.
One thing you want to do if you're Chris Sale is don't leave that breaking ball inside to the left-hand hitter. Now today he's handled left-handers pretty well, but historically the Kansas City left-handers have done a nice job against Chris Sale, more so than any other team.
Count hangs at 0-2. Royals last year hit .265 as a club with 131 home runs. We hit .255 as a team with 211 home runs. Yes, he did. He gone. 2 now.
Well, there's an example of expanding your strike zone, and this is one of the reasons why Hosmer hit in the low 230s last year. Chris Sale has as good a sweeping breaking ball as any left-hander in this league or any other league. And that time, Hosmer, who was in swing mode, just couldn't check it up.
Yeah, but you mentioned the key. He was in swing mode.
He
comes out of that dugout in swing mode.
He's a very aggressive hitter, which sometimes a good smart pitcher can use against him.
Well, here's a guy that hurt us a lot last year, Lorenzo Cain.
Maybe Chris was trying to show Cain that he will come inside, which will protect the outside part of the plate. But Kansas City thinks that Cain is one of their keys, in that if he stays healthy, they're going to be a lot better in center field, because he can put a charge into the ball on occasion.
As he did against us, as that's a can of corn into right field. So another nice inning for Sale. And after an inning and a half, there's no score. Now let's go down to Dan Hayes from CSNChicago.com.
Hey, thanks, Hawk, and I'd like to wish both of you guys a happy opening day. I'm CSNChicago.com's White Sox insider. Basically what that means is all season long we'll be bringing you live updates from the road, in the clubhouse, everything to keep you up to date on your White Sox news. Today we examine Paul Konerko. It's his 15th opening day and with the White Sox, and whether or not it'll be his last. Also, we checked in with 3 of the White Sox first-timers on opening day, Connor Gillespie. That's about all we... If you want to check that out and more, check out CSNChicago.com. Guys, back to you.
All right, Dan. First pitch, line shot into right field. So that's a hang woofum for Paulie. Paulie last year, of course, had 298, 26 homers, 75 knocked in with a bone chip in his wrist.
The last part of the year was very tough for him, and you've seen him through all of now these 15 opening days. Is he a better hitter now, just as a pure hitter, than he's ever been?
No question about it. You know, I was talking with Mully and Hanley and Carmen and Yurko today, and they were asking about Paulie. Yeah, he is. He's a better hitter now than he's ever been. He's a smarter hitter, and for him to do what he did last year with a bone chip in his wrist, he played in fact, the last 3 years he has played with a bad wrist and bad hand.
You can see the shadow right there. As it creeps across home plate, it's going to be very difficult for the hitter. Right now, both the pitcher and the hitter in sunshine, but in about 10 minutes, that won't be the case.
Tank goes through it. Tank 9 for 22 lifetime off Shields. And now make it 10 for 23. And right now, let's check out our Farmers Insurance first time picks to click today. Jim Angio, our director and crew, went with Piazza. Steve going with Alexa Ramirez. And Jeff Shearer and all the good folks at Ditka's. We're going to go with Viciedo.
Now, you didn't just pick him to click because he just got a base hitter. Was Was this pregame?
I won't tell you.
You just have like a movable head you can put in there depending on the first at bat.
Shove it right in that slot. Here's Alexei. These two guys, Scott Merkin did an article a few days ago that was right on the money, talking about the keys to this offense this year were going to be Viciedo and Ramirez. If they have good years, this offense is absolutely going to roll.
Now Shields has a very good move to first base, and it's a lot like, and that wasn't his good move, by the way, but it's a lot like Jesse Crain. He's got very quick feet. Might not be quite as quick to the plate, but he's a man behind the plate in Perez that can get rid of it very quickly with a strong arm, and he's accurate. So he pretty much shuts down a running game, and I don't think Tank is going anyway.
Alexei on the other side of that page is Tank, 10 for 23 against Shields. Alexei is just 3 for 30. Well, I guess mine is wrong. Or what? That's pretty good. 9 for 23 with 2 homers. My information said he was 3 for 30. As that's popped up, and that's going to fall for the base hit. So a little duck snorts. First duck snort of 2013.
Chris Getz is really the only guy that has a chance here as Shields tries to go up with the fastball. Getz can't quite get to it. No chance at all for Francoeur or Kane. So it's 2 on, only 1 out.
So here's Tyler. Tyler hitting at 259 last year, a couple of homers, 14 knocked in. A lot of people are going to be watching Tyler Flowers this year with one of the fan favorites, as he could not check it up. AJ, of course, down in Texas. It's always tough to break in a spot from a fan favorite.
Well, there's no doubt, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on him because as a #1 catcher, they're going to see if he can take control of this pitching staff, gain their confidence, and we're going to see if he can swing the bat because we don't know it yet. Playing 35 or 38 games a year, you never really know if a guy can swing it.
Well, in the second half of the season last year, his slugging percentage was .507.
That's pretty good.
And I don't think there's any problem, according to the pitchers. To a man, they love to throw to him. I remember guys breaking in. One of the most vivid recollections I have was a guy breaking in for Brooks Robinson at Baltimore.
Doug DeSensei?
Doug DeSensei. And boy, I'll tell you what, he had mentally a really tough time there for a while.
I would think.
Yeah. Chops that one foul.
Gordon Beckham, who's had a pretty nice run at James Shields in the on-deck circle. Gordon changed his hand position, had a much better spring than we saw him last year. Let's hope he carries it over into the season.
2 on, 1 out, and the 0-2 pitch. Fights that one off. No score here in the bottom of the second if you're just joining us. Royals 1 hit. Our guys have 3. That ball just fouled. Dadgummit.
Well, Perez certainly didn't like the location of this one, and Tyler Flowers unloaded on it. Tried to take it down the line, but Alan Porter said no. It was not fair. It was a rocket. Now, if you're Vicieto at second base, seeing what just happened to a fastball, you have to figure there might be something down in the dirt, so you got to get a good secondary lead if the ball gets away at all from Perez.
There it is. Blocked nicely. Yeah, this Salvador Perez, he's going to be something special.
I talked to Joe McEwing, who saw him in low A ball, and he said he was a big league catcher then. He could do everything, and offensively hit a lot of balls to right and right center field, but he said you could tell at that point that he would be their everyday catcher in the not too distant future, and that's how it worked out.
Got him on the inside corner. 2 down. And a reminder, tickets for the 2013 season are on sale right now. Prices have been greatly reduced. We'll tell you a little bit more about that later on. For nearly all the games, and the schedule is full of great matchups, promotional nights, family Sundays, and post-game fireworks. So purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. And they have really reduced many, many seats.
I think it's terrific. $7 seats in the upper deck.
Except for Cub games.
Right. And you got parking cut in half. You've got much reduced seats in the outfield and in the grandstand in the lower deck. And that's for every game except for those 2 Cub games.
All right. Gordon's got the count, 2-0. 2 on, 2 out, 2-0 the count to Beckham. Gordon last year, 234, 16 homers, and 60 knocked in.
The outfield not overly deep, and it sets up a play at the plate if Gordon hits the ball hard.
Lays off that one. There was a pitch that Gordon had a lot of trouble laying off of last year.
That was one of his downfalls.
Yeah.
Shields goes up on the inner portion, and Gordon doesn't really even offer at it.
So the 3-1 count with Diaz on deck. Fists that one into the seats. So with 2 out, a full count. Got him. So we have a threat. Can't do anything with it. We'll go to the third. No score. through Twitter using hashtag White Sox Talk, and we'll read one back later in that ball game. So if you want to do that, yours might be read over the air, probably around the 6th or the 7th inning. So here is Francoeur. Francoeur, last year, 235, 16 homers, 49 knocked in. And there's a solid single to left. So the leadoff man aboard. And a reminder, you can stop by Bacardi at the Park here at US Cellular Field at the Gate 5 Plaza. Bacardi at the Park offers a full menu from Gibson's Restaurant Group and opens 4 hours prior to all home games. Bacardi at the Park. Grab your friends and visit them.
Have to watch a bunt in this situation, although Getz has had success with Chris Sale. Keppinger in very close at third base. It was a high, tight Sale fastball that broke the hand of Chris Getz.
Takes ball one.
Well, our old friend Freddie Garcia in pro ball signed a minor league contract with the Orioles. He's trying to work his way back to the big leagues.
That one, little high neck in. Chris has more plate appearances than anybody in Royal history without hitting a home run. 887. There's a strike. 2-1.
He was in a battle with Johnny Giavotella for second base, and it was kind of a wide open competition, but Chris had a much better spring. He's a much better defender, and he just took it away, and they sent down Giavotella.
Watch out. So Matabatacola gets Francoeur to second.
Is there anything different you can do? You've got the hitter now immersed in shadows, and I know, sometimes in the fall or early in the spring you see lighting like this. Is a 3 o'clock game, of course. As a hitter, what are you trying to look for, concentrate on, or do you change anything?
I don't see how guys, I tell you, I had so much trouble with shadows. Yet I play with some guys that it didn't bother them one bit. It was amazing. Of course, even in 12 noon or 10 o'clock in the morning, there was only one pitch, the fastball. You go up there looking for a breaking ball in shadows, and you're liable to get carried out on a stretcher. In fact, there used to be an outfielder named Rocky Colavito who was a tough guy. A real tough guy.
And beloved in Cleveland, by the way, until Frank Lane traded him away to Detroit for Harvey Keene.
That's right. And he told me, had him way out in front, Alex Gordon, but he told me the scaredest he ever was in his whole life. The Yankees had a pitcher named Ryan Duran who wore glasses with, they were so thick they looked like the bottom of a pop.
Yeah.
He said facing him in the shadows of Yankee Stadium was the toughest thing he ever had to do in his life. There's a good breaking ball, didn't get it.
I think Tyler Flowers wanted that one, as did Chris Sale, and it could be that Jerry Lane might have given up on this. Now, obviously, Flowers wanted that ball away, but that ball was a strike. But reaching across back over the plate, sometimes you don't get the benefit of the call.
Gordon, as I mentioned, 51 doubles last season, 5 triples, 14 homers. Changed up. That shows you how much confidence most left-handers do not like to throw left-handed hitters their changeup.
No, and that's twice in 2 fastball situations, 2-0 and 3-1, that Chris went to the straight change, and twice he had Gordon well out in front of it. You look at Escobar waiting for his turn.
Breaking ball missed.
Menard's pitch tracks. Tries to get him on a curveball. That ball looks like it had the plate, but if it gets to the catcher down out of the zone, you're not going to get that call too often. So Sale in some problems, the same kind of problems that James Shields was in last inning. Efan, Flowers, and Beckham to get out of it. And now Chris has got to go through 2 very tough right-hand hitters to get out of this.
Well, this is where Kansas City has far outperformed us the last 3 or 4 seasons. In situations like this, they have come through. Escobar, as I mentioned last year, all he did was go 30 for 67 against us at a 448 clip, a couple of homers and 9 RBIs.
Seemed like a lot of those base hits came to right and right center field.
That's back through the middle. Gordon knocks it down but cannot grab the ears. So that'll be a base hit and load him up with 1 down. And their big horse coming to the plate, Billy Butler.
Good effort by Beckham as you see him shift to his left. So he's going away from the play only to go on the shortstop side of second. Now he can't come up with it, but what this does set up is the premier double play target in all of baseball in a situation where a ground ball gets you the double play and out of the inning. So if Butler can hit it on the ground, Chris Sale can get out of this one unscathed.
Well, you're talking about the shadows and that what the hitter sees. If a guy has the good changeup, which Chris does and Shields does, that changeup in shadows is a devastating pitch as well, especially when you throw as hard as they both do. Big hack. Butler last year against us hit .309 with 3 homers and 14 knocked in. Primarily, in certain situations, he is an up the middle right center field hitter. But you put a 1-pitch pitcher out there against him, and I don't care how hard you throw, he can turn you around. As there's a strike.
That was a very good straight change, and he has Butler in the 0-2 hole. Butler gives up on this. Perfect pitch, low and away.
He gone. Hook. Big punch out for Chris.
Strikeout number 3. This is the hard breaking slider. He throws it low and in. Butler swings over the top and leaves it up to Moustakas.
Chops it foul.
Time now for the AT&T U-verse multi-view. Francoeur, Gordon, and Escobar on the bases. Good speed, but a lefty-lefty advantage for Chris Sale against Mike Moustakas.
High and soft in the right field. Beckham's got the bead, waving off Alex, makes the catch, and Sale pitches out of it. They threaten. Bases loaded, 1 out. Butler strikes out. Moustakas pops up, and we're still scoreless.
The father and the wife of the opening day starter, Chris Sale, Alan Sale. You built the mound in the old backyard and watched your son develop. What does this opening day start mean? A lot of benchmarks over the past year with All-Star and whatnot.
A lot has happened in a very short period of time. We're obviously very proud of him. My wife actually put the mound in the backyard. I helped, but she put it in. But we're real proud of him, obviously, and he's worked himself out of trouble in that last inning, which is great.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise in this particular sweet last inning. And Hawk and Steve, before we get back to you, it's not only opening day, but it's April Fool's Day. And Brian wants to tell a story about something that happened this morning.
So this morning I woke up and I realized it was April Fool's Day. So I told Chris, hey, do you mind if I play a joke on all of our family because they're in here for opening day? And he's like, go for it. So I told everyone when they walked in that Chris was sick all night, throwing up. He thinks he had the flu. His mom freaked out. Dad freaked out. My parents freaked out. And then we said April Fool's. It was hilarious.
All right. April Fool's.
It was real fun.
Yeah. Lots of chuckles. At least I can laugh about it now. Alan Sale, Brian Sale, thanks for joining us. Hawk, Steve, let's send it back to you.
The 0-2 pitch to Diaz down and in. Well, I've never met Alan Sale or his wife, but I'll tell you one thing. They did a heck of a job in raising that young man. He is a gentleman. He is one of the nicest young men you ever want to meet.
And he told me that everything turned around for him when he got to college. And he credits his coach that he wasn't a great teammate in high school, but his coach kind of explained to him what you have to do to take the next step, or the next couple of steps, or in the case of Chris Sale, some giant steps, and that's #1 draft choice to #1 starting pitcher on a contending ball club.
2-2 pitch. Good eye, full count. No score here in the bottom of the third if you're just tuning in. And we understand there was an audio issue during our open earlier, and we apologize for the technical issues. High pop up. Gordon. Piazza now has grounded to second and gone out to left. There's Keppinger. He got a fastball, jumped all over it, and drove it into pretty deep center field.
This is a time when just about anybody can win because of the parity. And it has to do with a lot of different reasons, but 13 of the 30 teams have made at least one postseason appearance in the last 2 years. In the last 12 years, 9 different teams have won the World Series, which is somewhat amazing.
Well, that's what the commissioner strove for, and he arrived at it.
I think it's a good thing. I think it gives more of the fans of various teams hope that with now 2 wild cards, their team can make it. And if you can make it into the playoffs, doesn't matter how you make it, you got a chance to win it all. And a good chance.
There's a base hit by Keppinger. So he's now 1 for 2. Well, one thing about it is that when Bud Selig took over 21 years ago, there are only about 4 teams making money. The only way you can achieve parity in today's culture of the game is with money. That's the only way you can, because you got to have the money to go out and sign your draft picks. A lot of clubs will just go through a perfunctory draft where they know they're not going to sign these guys.
It's true.
You got to have the money to do that. You got to have the money to compete in the free agent market. Now, the commissioner is 21 years later. All 30 teams make money. Breaking ball strike to Rios, who singled on a fastball back through the middle. Also, when he took over, the revenues for baseball were a little over $1 billion. Today, they're approaching $10 billion.
Pretty amazing. And you look at all the new stadiums built, the refurbished downtowns because of the new stadiums. It's a completely different game and a much more successful and healthy game these days.
Well, there have been 9 commissioners in baseball's history. Kennesaw Mountain Landis, A.B. Happy Chandler. You had Will Harridge. Then you had General William Eckert. You had Bowie Kuhn.
Fay Vincent.
Peter Uberos. Then you had
Giamatti and Fay
Art
Vincent.
Giamatti, Fay Vincent. And now I've been through 7 of them. 7 of the 9. And there's no question on who's been the best.
So what was Mountain Landis like?
He was salty guy, you know.
he was one of those guys that you didn't see.
he was one of those guys that you didn't want to mess with.
Well, Bud has always talked about the internationalization of the game of baseball, and it's coming about before our very eyes.
So Alex goes down. That'll bring up Dunn. Adam popped up high, towering, major league pop-up. Middle of the diamond almost that Escobar made the play on. He just missed it. And don't you believe, or for a second, that James Shields doesn't know that.
Alan Porter says yes, he did. Start him off with a curveball in the dirt. Good stop by Perez, who stopped everything else. Might have gone around a bit too far.
Yeah, that was a good call. This is a good crew. It's nice to have a good crew for your opening series. Yeah, but the parity is here. If you don't believe it, just look at the American League Central. Oh, and 2 the count. Paulie on deck. Blocked nicely by Perez.
Lorenzo Cain just about as deep as you can get in center field. Normally he doesn't play that deep for anybody.
Got him. Good pitch on the inside corner. So that is 4 strikeouts now for Shields, and we're into the 4th, still scoreless.
This 4th inning is brought to you by the new Cool Ranch Doritos, Locos Tacos from Taco Bell. Live Mas. Locos Tacos from Taco Bell. Live Mas.
Top of the 4th inning, I believe Perez, Hosmer, and Cain. Salvador hit a bullet off the left field wall for a single with 1 out in the 2nd inning.
Fortunately, that was a sinking line drive because he hit it hard enough to hit it through the wall.
Well, he's already reminded me of somebody that I don't think you played against, but I did, who was a catcher. And he was a good one and a terrific hitter. And his name was Joe Torre.
I played against Joe Torre.
You did?
Yes, I did. And he won the batting title in 1971, hitting .360.
And could not run.
Nope.
Paul would have blown his doors off.
Yes.
Paulie would have.
Well, he played the three positions that you would play if you don't have good wheels, and that is he played third base, he caught, then he played first base, had over 2,500 hits, and I hit him in the arm, Candlestick Park. He stood right on top of the plate, didn't move out of the way, and Gibson was pitching for the Cardinals.
Uh-oh.
I came up and I said to Jerry McNertney, the catcher, does he think I threw a Torre? He goes, we'll see. Threw one right behind my head. I said, is this over? He goes, yeah, this is over. I said, good.
Breaking ball, tried to backdoor, he missed. Yeah, but this kid, his approach at the plate, he can't run like Torre couldn't run. Handles himself terrific behind the dish, a changeup. But Joe could hang out some line drives. Use the whole field to hit him.
And a good man.
A great guy.
Yes, sir.
There's a fastball strike. Joe has been such an asset to this game. And he was a perfect guy to manage the New York Yankees when they were winning those world championships, because of the way he handled the media, which is the toughest job in sports, handling the media in New York.
And at the time, he could also do a pretty good job of handling George.
Well, let's put it this way. George didn't bother him as much as he gone.
Good sharp breaking ball low and in. Chris Sale with 4 strikeouts. He had Perez well out in front of it.
George would call up Joe and Lou and those managers. George just didn't like managers. He didn't think anybody could manage. He used to tell Lou now, he said, Lou, if you listen to me, talking about Lou Piniella, I'll make you a good manager.
That was a good idea.
A little slow chopper. Hosmer's retired. He's now 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. Yeah, but George would call Joe and Lou and start yelling at them, and they just put the phone down on the desk until he stopped ranting and raving, and then pick it up and say, okay, Mr. Steinbrenner.
Wait till he ran out of gas.
Yeah. That book, Steinbrenner, is one heck of a read for all you baseball fans out there. Billy Madden wrote that book and did just a marvelous job on it. Breaking ball strike to Kane, who went out to Rios.
It took Bill 2 years of research to get that book done.
It was unbelievable the research he got. And I asked him, I said, how did you get that? He said, Hawk, he said, I was shocked that Howe was able to get some of those facts.
With Ira Burkow, they're writing the Broadway play, Steinbrenner.
He gone. Yes. No score. Going to the bottom of the 4th.
Madhouse. It's the first of 3 Hawks-Predators showdowns in 1 week. Don't miss Blackhawks-Predators tonight at 7 on Comcast Sportsnet.
How about that game yesterday? I went out to Walmart to do a little shopping. Figured I'd miss part of the first period. Came back, turned it on. It was 5-0.
Pretty much over at that point. We talked about being the equivalent of 20-0 in baseball.
That's about right. Paul will lead it off. Paulie lined out on the first pitch he saw to Francoeur in right field. 0-3-0 for their guys, 0-4-0 for our guys. Good eye. 2-0. Time to take that ball into right center. I'm looking for this guy right here to have a big season for the first time in 4 years. Knock on wood, no problems with his hands or wrist.
Now, he said almost immediately after that surgery he could feel a difference and has had no problems whatsoever.
Paulie just one hit behind the big hurt Frank Thomas for third place on the all-time franchise hit list. And that might fall, and that might no. Kane is there. So that is out number 1. And a reminder, Saturday, come see our White Sox take on the Mariners. First 20,000 fans receive a 1983 White Sox knit bomber hat. And all fans in attendance receive a 2013 White Sox calendar. So purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Bomber hat looked good on you, Stoney.
You know, Bob Grimm gave me one of those for the game, and I thought it looked so good that I promptly gave it away. But I think as a gift to people you really like, people who would look good in one of those, like the Red Baron, be pretty nice.
Viciedo, Moustakas, 2 down. Tank now 1 for 2.
Shields is also a leader in the clubhouse as well as being their #1 starting pitcher. And they were talking about trying to change the culture in Kansas City. They think this guy is one of the guys who can do that. Now, they paid dearly for him. One of the best prospects in all of baseball, Will Myers, went to Tampa Bay. Shields and Wade Davis coming back. There was a few other people in that deal, but those are the principals. And Shields probably going to have a pretty good year for the Royals.
Alexei chops that one down off his leg. Well, I was talking to some Kansas City people prior to the game, and they said that they sorely needed some leadership in that clubhouse.
It's pretty difficult if you don't have that.
Some of the guys didn't, but they were young.
Yep.
They needed some veteran leadership, and there's a difference.
Well, a perfect example is that ball bunted foul. Is that early in spring, Shields organized a golf tournament. And usually you might get 10, 12, 15 people there. They got 45 people to come out for the golf tournament organized by the players for the players. And one of the guys who came out, Miguel Tejada, who made the team at 38 years old. Miguel had never played golf before. So they put the ball on the tee for him. And, of course, it was the exploding golf ball. He hit it and probably didn't understand that that really wasn't how the game is played too often.
Two out, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
There's a young man enjoying this one with a terrific seat. He's got sitting room only seats.
Got him. So an easy 1-2-3 inning, and we're into the 5th. stats, tweets with White Sox and Game Live, only on csnchicago.com, brought to you by Comcast Business Class. Jeff Francoeur singles sharply into left field. Will lead it off here in the top of the 5th inning. Takes a curveball strike.
That base hit was only his 2nd lifetime against Chris Sale. And Francoeur swings at just about everything.
Starts it off with his 2nd hit.
That base hit on a fastball up and out of the strike zone. But Francoeur doesn't take too many. And he was able to muscle it into center field.
Second baseman Chris Getz broke his bat, grounded out to second. Kevinger in on the grass. As there's ball 1. Pretty good pitch, didn't get it. Gap out there in right center. Outfield short, swung around to the left. One and one to count. 29-year-old Chris Getz. Last year, 275 in limited action because, as Stoney told you, Sale hit him in the hand with a fastball and broke it. Still making his home here in Chicago. Two and one to count.
Chris taking a long look down at Eddie Rodriguez, the third base coach.
All right, taking time. Strong arm of Beckham. Yes, rack him up.
Got to do this quickly because it's off the end of the bat. It's not hit all that well, but it turned around, Getz in the batter's box. And Gordon Beckham making sure that Francoeur can't get a piece of him by coming toward home plate to get off the throw. And with that big arm, he was able to turn a pair.
So Gordon takes a curveball strike. Very quickly, the count 0-2. Alex has grounded out to Paulie and walked.
Chris would love to retire Gordon here with the minimum of pitches. He's thrown 60 so far. It's a good total.
Alex out of Nebraska. Out and around that one, hooks it foul. Alex, the highest draft pick out of Nebraska since Darren Erstad was taken first overall by the Angels, 1995.
Gordon was a second overall. And he did it as a third baseman, but he's found a home now in left field.
Another Matabatacola. And that's a nice inning after the leadoff single by Francoeur. Halfway home, no score.
feeling? How'd it taste? You went all the way from section 139 over there to check
All the way, yes, all the way, and it's delicious. Well worth the walk.
From what I understand, a burger, but with some of the Chicago hot dog style condiments.
Yes. We have pico de gallo. I don't know what we got on it. It looked good though. It smelled good and weighted. It's delicious.
Well worth the walk. So, one of many items on the menu this year. The one getting all the publicity is the Winning Ugly Grand Slam. There's also the Walking Taco as well. You'll get around to those eventually, right?
Oh, definitely.
All right. We'll let you enjoy your burger.
Thank you.
That's Ruth joining us here. Just part of the concessions in which the expanded menu is really taking off here for the 2013 season. Hawk Steve, back to you.
Okay, Chris. I pop up. And it's not going to be playable. Wow. It's the edge of the dugout.
I think I played with Pinko Lagallo. I think that was back in the winter of '72.
Well, there hadn't been many that you and I haven't played with or seen in our career.
It's true. It was a good-looking hamburger. And right about now,
I got to admit, there's only one person that I know that I've ever known that loves hamburgers more than you.
And I know who it is.
Yeah, but he loved them for a different reason.
Well, the difference is I occasionally pay for mine, and he didn't ever pay for his, and that was Wimpy.
Lasorda, Tommy Lasorda stuck that nickname on him. Two balls, two strikes. The Flowers. Tyler struck out. It was a pretty good battling at bat, and then all of a sudden, Shields made a good pitch on him. Real good. High and deep stretch. Gordon goes back, looks up. Buchanan put it on the board. Yes, yes. Tyler Flowers, first homer. And the Sox leaded 1-0.
Here's our fourth home run replay, and it's a towering home run to left center field. That ball looked like a changeup that Shields got up. And if you're going to miss with these, you have to miss down. When you miss up, that's what happens, and it's a 1-0 game.
Plus, the shadows are gone.
That's a big difference.
Here's Gordon. Shanks that one. Get over his head. It will. So his first hit. Sully's happy, as is Gwen and Grace.
Gordon gets an inside fastball. Tries to get the hands in, an inside-out swing, and barely gets it over Hosmer's head. Hosmer, a pretty good fielder at first base, just missed that one, and there's the man of the hour, Tyler Flowers, getting an opening day start and hitting the first home run of the year, hopefully the first of many. And now something going against James Shields.
Well, he's going to hit some home runs this year. Make no mistake about that.
Very, very strong.
But two as well, I should say. Gordon last year did not get many hits like that. Little ducks north in the right field. He's going to have to get, and he's going to have a chance to because of the angle of that bat now. Very hard with his bat angle last year and the year before to get his hands inside the ball like he did on that one.
He was holding the bat straight up and down.
Sorry for Dick Allen.
Yeah, the big strong guy, sure.
Yeah. Pops that one back, and that's not going to be playable.
Shields now about ready to make pitch number 75. So he is well ahead of Chris Sale in pitches. He's not going to get out his inning without his pitch count in the 80s. And that could limit just how long he goes in this one.
That's the first home run on opening day by a Sox catcher since '04. And that was Sandy Alomar. And of course another sizable contribution to White Sox charities from Alex Nellius in loving memory of Ursula.
That was a good fastball. In on the hands of Diaza, just threw it right by him.
And looking for a flexible ticket plan for the season? Well, the White Sox Pick 7 and Pick 14 plans let you select the games you want, including the Crosstown Classic Series. Pick 14 plans start at $119 per seat. The Pick 7 plans start at $55 a seat. So call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com.
Too easy to call a pitch out on the first pitch, but this sets up as a good hit-and-run situation if Robin decides to use it.
Big pick right there by Hosmer.
Well, we talked about what Perez likes to do. He drops to one knee. This one he almost threw into right field. Now this is a design play. It's a hard slider away. It was never designed to be in the strike zone. It was designed for this pickoff. And Hosmer did a good job of saving Perez his first error of the year.
That's one of the few slider pitch outs I've seen in a long time.
No, just right.
You know, it used to be commonplace. Today it's rarity. Two and 0. Again, probably getting back to the responsibilities of the two-hole. The first thing is you have to have a guy in the two-hole who's not afraid to hit with two strikes. If you got that, that's 90% of it.
Well, Keppinger struck out 31 times last year in almost 400 at-bats. So he's not afraid to hit down in the count and not afraid to take pitches.
That's into right center field on a breaking ball. 2 out. And that'll bring up Alex. Alex is 1 for 2.
Alex Rios.
Big game. James Shields, his mom Cindy, and Aaron Rowan's mother Connie are sisters. And of course Shields and Aaron both wore number 33. Oh, he got a cookie right there and missed it. Sun is back out, so a bit of a shadow right there. Another good rip at that one. Oh, and 2. See what Robin wants to do right here. It's awful. Very, very tough to run on this combination of Shields and Perez. A lot of times, manager with 2 out, 0-2 the count. Maybe send him, just bail him out. If he steals it, fine. If he doesn't, fine.
Well, you got to be careful because Shields has such a good move to first base. Gordon is not taking a very big lead.
No, you can't. You can't run on this combination. Just got a piece of it.
Shields ready to make pitch number 83. And this is a very good Kansas City bullpen. Good hard throwing bullpen.
Blocked nicely by Salvador. Done on deck. Shields' last start of 2012 had 15 punch-outs against the Orioles and lost that ball game 1-0.
You know, it's ironic that many of the huge strikeout games that pitchers have had, they've lost. Remember, Carlton, I think, lost a game where he fanned 19. Something along those lines. Steve Carlton, the Hall of Famer.
Jacks it up. He did not go. Full count. And our congratulations go out to Juan Nieves. Juan, a terrific guy. Now the pitching coach for the Red Sox, and they beat the Yankees today 8-2.
He turned around John Lester in just one start. Started that ball game.
Juan did such a terrific job out there in our bullpen with those youngsters.
Well, we wish him all the luck in the world. He's a great guy, and this was a wonderful opportunity for him.
Payoff, and there's a shot into left field. Oh my goodness, what a play, what a snap right there by Gordon, saving a run. If it gets by him, Beckham's going to score easily.
Gordon showed you here that he was a third baseman, and he showed you how good his hands are. Because this one hit with overspin. When it hops, it takes a higher hop, and he's able to run it down, get it back in. Gordon taking a good look at Joe McEwing, and that was a good job of coaching and a good job of picking up the coach by Gordon, because he knew that ball was in the infield. If he rounded the bag, he was going to get tagged out.
Gladham has popped up. That pop up was a just missed one, and also a strikeout. They get a modified shift on. Escobar now moving over to a little bit. He's on the first base side of second. Moustakas in the hole at third. Adam last year, well, those 41 homers, passed 23 guys in the home run list. Of those 23, 7 of them in Cooperstown.
'11, Adam Dunn against the Cleveland Indians. Opening day. Took it way back into the bullpen, and then 2012 against the Rangers, looked like Kevin Millwood into the upper deck. So his first 2 years with the Sox, opening day home runs.
Checks it up. Hosmer, Shields. So a brilliant play right there by Alex Gordon, saves the run, but the homer by Tyler Flowers. It is 1-0 Sox.
And who better to catch it than Robin? High strike. We'll call that one in the zone. And flashback to 1993.
This was unbelievable. Watch the angle that ball goes up. It looked like a pop-up going out there to deep short, and it just did not come down.
Long pop-up.
That might be the highest home run among maybe one other I've ever seen in my whole career.
Pretty strong man, Bo Jackson.
Mickey Mantle, I saw Mickey Mantle hit one that the shortstop kept drifting back and back, and it was an exhibition game in Savannah, Georgia, and he wound up, the shortstop was Leo Cardenas of the Cincinnati Reds. He wound up on the warning track. That's how high and long, and the ball went over everything. 2-1 to count to Escobar. One hopper. Escobar now 1 for 3, had an infield single.
That's a good man to keep off base. He's one of their speed burners. And you're going through the middle of the order.
Well, one of the interesting things about Kansas City last year is they had 132 stolen bases. We had 109. They had 131 home runs. We had 211. But the stat that really, they had 113 errors. We had 70. They committed 43 more errors than we did. And yet we were 6-12 against them.
Yeah, they didn't commit those errors in key situations against our ball club at all.
Not at all.
They played their best baseball of the year, in fact.
Butler. 2-1 to count. Did a little soft comebacker to Chris. Also struck out. And the count 3-1. Moustakas on deck. Over the head of Beckham. Just muscles that one out there.
The difference between this slider and the one he struck out on in the third inning is the fact that this ball is up. The one that got him was down and in. 3-1 count. He's looking for something out over the plate. Chris got the breaking ball up, and Butler too good a hitter to miss that one.
Yeah, those 3-2 get-me-overs. He's lucky it didn't go harder and further. Moustakas has struck out and popped up to Beckham. Takes that breaking ball way out of the zone. Take your time. Take your time. No, made a bad throw. 2 down.
That time, Chris really didn't give Alexei any chance at all on the double play. This ball hit right back to him. Butler can't run, so he has all kinds of time, but Alexei had to scoop that ball out of the dirt. And Moustakas, who has good but not great speed, able to beat the play at first without a relay.
Here's the dangerous Salvador Perez, who's 1 for 2. Hard single off the wall in left field and a strikeout.
This year we really have to be able to take advantage of home cooking early in the season. In April, 16 games at home, only 11 on the road. And to get off to a good start, you got to dominate people here at the Cell.
He gone. Breaking ball just tied him up. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th. It is a 1-0 Sox lead.
For the call as the Bulls look to push past the competition on their way to the playoffs. Bulls Wizards tomorrow night at 6 on Comcast Sportsnet.
Paul Konerko will lead it off for us here in the bottom of the 6th inning. 1-7-0 for our guys, 0-5-0 for their guys.
And I would think if Shields starts to have any difficulties at all, that bullpen is going to get up and going. He is in the mid-80s in pitches. And he's only thrown 5 innings.
First pitch strike to Pauly, who is lined out to right and looped out to short right center. Viciedo on deck and Alexei in the hole. High into center field. One out. And a reminder, Friday, April 26th, come see our Sox take on Tampa Bay at 7:10. All fans are invited to stay for post-game fireworks show presented by Magellan Corporation. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. And Steve mentioned earlier about these tickets, except for the 2 cup games all season long, we're going to have upper level price as low as $7. That ball is hammered but foul. Outfield reserve, $20. They have really done a good job. Parking is half now. And there's a good strike on the outside corner, so the count 0-2.
I think one of the great things about the ballpark, not only the sight lines, but the food all the way around is just something special. You just can't find any place better in baseball.
Well, a couple of years ago, it was
US
voted the best food by a publication in Major League Baseball.
Yep. It's that good. Now they've added that big burger. Only thing would be better if it was a bigger burger. But it's a big burger.
That ball hit hard in the center field. Kane is there. That's the hang wolf him. So Tank now 1 for 3.
Shortstop, number 10.
There's a look at what we're talking about. Ringing the ballpark. Making a lot of people very, very happy.
Standing room only on the concourse out there, and left center, and right center. 39,012.
You remember the first time you walked into a Major League stadium, what your feeling was?
Yep.
Where was it?
1959, Fenway Park. There's a little shank. Guess is going to get there and hang on to it. No, he does not. That'll be a base hit. So Alexei now. Couple of duck snorts. He's 2 for 3.
This is well placed. Could turn out to be one of the key hits of the game, you know. Keeps the inning alive.
Here we go again, the senator. Legislating for his constituent.
Big effort by Chris Getz, only to come up short.
Boy, that really tees an infielder off. When you get it.
You make the dive, you have the ball, and then it kind of trickles out.
Yep. Here's Tyler. And here's what he did leading off last inning.
He got a changeup up and took advantage of it. A towering fly ball that just kept on going. That's the only run of the ball game. First time I ever saw Major League Park, my father took me to Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio. We had upper deck seats. I walked up that long runway. I remember looking out over the field, and it was the greenest thing I had ever seen in my life.
Upper deck?
Upper deck.
Like father, like son.
I was scared to death. It was, I thought it was 1,000 feet in the air.
Yeah, that was not a particularly good baseball stadium.
86,000 seats, though. And in those days, they weren't filling them up like they were back in 1948. They drew 2.6 million.
Oh, yeah.
Back when that was a huge accomplishment.
Oh, yeah. That stood for a long time as a record. Hughes, that one foul, so the count now 2-1. Yeah, that was a big ballpark, and they had the biggest grass, looked like Yorkshire Terriers.
They were large fellows. And I remember our sod father, Roger Bossard, and the Bossards were in charge of that field for as long as I can remember. I grew up with Emil Bossard.
Emil. 3 balls and a strike. Yeah, my first visit was Fenway Park in late September 1959.
Pretty, huh?
It was awesome. He just missed that one. Wow. He just missed that one. Gordon hauls it in, and that'll retire the side. We'll go to the 7th. Still 1-0. Good guys. As Chris Sale, Steve, has been Chris Sale.
He's been just exceptional this afternoon, and he's done it by mixing up all of his pitches. He's thrown a lot of off-speed pitches in fastball situations, and this particular Kansas City team, which is usually tough on Chris, not so tough today.
Right now, let's go down to Chris Bowden.
Thanks very much. Pleased and honored to be joined by Frank Gambro, who's attending his 60th opening day here. You were just a kid. Were you 1 year old when you attended that first one?
Actually, 2.5.
2.5. Very good.
Right.
What do you remember from some of the early ones? What stands out?
I'm not a big trivia guy, but some of the ones that stand out, a couple of ones that stand out on my mind were after the 05 World Series, and we were here for the 06 opener. And if I recall, that was a night game, and they unfurled the banners and stuff like that, and that was super exciting.
You got plenty of family and friends here, and understand the chairman, Jerry Reinsdorf, issued or presented a letter to you, or had some White Sox personnel issue a letter to you. In essence, what does it say?
Just congratulations for my endurance for coming to all these games every year, but that's me. I'm a loyal guy, and just a loyal fan, and win, lose, or draw, I'm a fan, but I know that they always keep trying to make the team better and win the World Series again. So baseball is my game, and that's been instilled in my family, and we bring the family here. My sons bring their sons to the game now, and
it's truly a generation thing.
Absolutely, it's a tradition. It's just like grandson Adam has said. It's just like another holiday with the Gambro family, where everybody, it's all hands on deck.
All right,
all hands on deck.
Frank, congratulations on keep it going. Many more, okay?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, I know the White Sox appreciate it too. Frank Gambro of Elgin attending his 60th opening day. Guys, back upstairs to you.
All right, Chris, thank you very much. Eric Hosmer, the leadoff single here in a 1-0 game. Sox lead it. And here's Lorenzo Cain. Change up.
And for the first time today, there's action in the Sox pen. Chris now about ready to deliver pitch number 83. It's Jesse Crane. Fresh off 3 appearances where he said he did not feel any ill effects of that groin irritation.
There's the fastball strike. 0-2 the count. Well, that's huge, as is Johnny Danks. We can get him back in a month and a half or so, or even 2 months. It'll be just like going out and signing a second or third starter.
I think he'll be back in less than 2 months.
I do too. I hope so.
Well, he was talking with Chris Sale today. I was standing there, and John is getting ready to throw a start in extended spring, and he said, "Do you think this is exciting for you?" He goes, "That start in extended spring is going to be a big one for me." I said, "Do you have all the scouting reports on those guys?" No, not exactly.
Down and in.
Kansas City bullpen. It's Aaron Crow,
the rapper,
former #1 draft pick. Thought to be a starter when they drafted him. Has found a home in the bullpen. Normally one of the first guys out of a very talented, hard-throwing pen.
Oh, what a play by Beckham. Mercy. A bullet.
If Gordon doesn't make this play, this ball is going up the alley and could very well have scored Hosmer. As it is, Hosmer does a good job of getting back and not getting doubled off, but what a great effort by Gordon Beckham. That could turn out to be a very big play in this game.
So here's Francoeur. He's 2 for 2. Threw that fastball right by him at 93. Yes, sir. That when you're talking about Beckham and Alexei up the middle of the Keystone combination, that's about as good as it gets in this league.
They make every double play they have a shot at making, and both have great range and very strong arms.
That change up low and away. So Hosmer at first. You got to watch him. Last year he was 16 for 17 in stolen bases. All right, take your time, boys. Rack them up. 7th inning stretch, 1-0 White Sox.
One made off the bat of Chris Getz in the 5th inning. This was a snappy 6-4-3. And then the double play that ended the 7th. This one, a 5-4-3. Keppinger to Beckham. Easily turning a pair, getting Chris Sale out of the 7th inning with a 1-0 lead and setting the stage for Aaron Crow to come in relief of James Shields, who will not win his first opening day with the Royals, as they trail 1-0. There you look at the totals last year on Crow. 3-1 ERA, a little below 3.5. Left-handers did very little against him, which is most unusual. Right-handers hit him a bit better.
So right here's the man of the moment with that brilliant catch off that scorched line drive by Lorenzo Cain, Gordon Beckham. Gordon's 1 for 2. Takes ball 1.
Be a very good time for an insurance run or two here.
You know, 2 big plays. That one by Gordon and that one right there by Beckham.
The defense has been, as it was most of last year, pretty much airtight.
Yeah, when you only give up 34 unearned runs over the course of 162 games, that's throwing some leather. And that's the first rule of baseball. You got to catch the ball. Ate him up with that fastball in on the fist. Moustakas. And let's check out our AT&T tweet of the game. Alexei DeGordo is just a thing of beauty. Now let's get the bats going, guys. Our AT&T tweet of the game.
Well, as you probably know by this point, Houston has moved over to the American League West. They won their opener against the Rangers. And because of 15 and 15 in each league, there's going to be an interleague game every day. So each team is going to play 20 interleague games instead of the usual 15 to 18. And the interleague game today, the Angels against the Reds, tied at 1 in the top of the 7th in Cincinnati.
Well, like I say, let's head check that. Alejandro 0 for 3. He's grounded to second, gone out to left, and struck out. Kevinger on deck. Good pitch. Down and in.
Santiago and Crane throwing in the pen. Chris Sale has been absolutely magnificent. Shields was pretty good. 6 innings, a run on 8 hits, didn't walk anybody, and he fanned 6, but he's trailing. There's a look at Chris in front of his family.
Full count.
Chris with 90 pitches, and many of them under duress, so it hasn't been a coasting 90 pitches because it's a 1-0 game, and he's had to pitch his way out of some big problems.
And that's into the seats. And another souvenir left side.
We're going to see the Washington Nationals on our first road trip. And if you had Bryce Harper in a who's going to hit 2 home runs on opening day pool, you won. Because he hit 2. They beat Miami 2-0.
Down and in with the breaking stuff. Got him. 2 down. And a reminder, if you want a fantastic White Sox experience, well, check out the Comcast Fundamentals deck here at US Cellular Field. You can interact with White Sox trainers, run the bases at the wiffle ball diamond, and test your swing at the batting cages. So catch all the action with Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Call 1-800-XFINITY to learn more.
It's a great place for the youngsters, learning a little something about baseball. For them, it's a very long game, so that gives them an opportunity to do something while the folks are enjoying the concession stands and the real ball game down on the field.
There was a good curveball for a strike. I never hit against a rapper who did not have a good curveball.
Well, Sutton was a rapper. He had a very good curveball. Rick Sutcliffe, a rapper with a very good curveball.
There might be somebody out there saying, well, what's a rapper?
You can take a look at Aaron Crow here, but we'll show you a little something as we move along.
And that's a nice, easy inning for Aaron Crow. We'll go to the 8th. 1-0 Sox. Powering drive into left center field in the 5th inning is the difference.
Well, with the 2 left-handers coming up in Getz and Gordon, Chris Sale for the moment is out there, and now it looks like Matt Thornton throwing in the pen.
First pitch strike. Well, Chris has been in the plate twice. Twice he came up with Francoeur leading off an inning on base with singles, and they disdained the bunt. He grounded out with a broken bat to second, and then the second time up hit into a 6-4-3 double play.
I am very happy that Ned Yost decided not to move along Francoeur, figuring Shields and Sale is going to be a very close game one way or the other, and that's exactly how it turned out.
Sweeping curveball, and the count 1-2. Guy's got a piece of that 94-mile-an-hour fastball. He gone.
Straight change to a left-hand hitter. How refreshing. 7 strikeouts for the big left-hander, and Chris Sale has been in command. That hard slider getting Moustakas. Then he gets Hosmer, who can't check his swing. I think it's Billy Butler on a low and in slider. Salvador Perez. And the last strikeout of Chris Getz, a changeup inside. And you mentioned it earlier, Hawk. Very rare to see lefty-lefty changeups, but Chris Sale's making the most out of it today.
He made a believer out of both of us in that game down in Texas last year.
Yeah, he's just getting better.
And if you don't recall that game, Chris was going through that dead arm period. He's pitching against the Texas Rangers in their ballpark. He only hit 90 twice, and he beat them.
Well, that was by far the worst stuff he had in all the times we've seen him, whether it's coming out of the bullpen or starting a game. And yet he found a way to get through that ball game and win the ball game, which showed the maturation process of a young pitcher who came to the big leagues throwing everything as hard as he could before learning how to pitch, and he's done it very quickly.
That breaking ball away. 2-2 the count to Gordon. Twice has gone out to Paulie at first, and he also walked. That was back in the 3rd inning. In fact, that is the only walk that Chris has issued. Yeah, but that game down there, I told Chris after the game, I said, that's the most impressive I've seen you. And he just smiled. He was changing off his change, changing all of his breaking stuff.
Sometimes you have to go to plan B, C, or maybe D.
Keppinger, got to hurry. Nice play by Jeffrey. Yes.
I think that was one of the most surprising things we saw this spring, because Keppinger, normally a second baseman, maybe a swing man, he's shown a pretty good arm at third base. He's made some good solid plays. This, a very good play on a squibber off the end of the bat. He gets Gordon by a half step.
That one he made at third base in the Oakland game at night, diving to his right, coming up, going right over the top, right by his ear, and gunned out the runner, was a brilliant play. So here is Alcides Escobar. He's grounded to short, had an infield single, and he grounded out to Paulie.
You got to figure if he doesn't get Escobar, he probably won't be around to get Butler. That's why Nate Jones is throwing in the bullpen. But Robin, even though Chris is over the century mark, giving him a chance to get out of this inning himself, and he's got Escobar in an 0-2 hole.
Breaking ball would not bite. Good job by Escobar to lay off of it. And he lines that changeup into center field for the base hit. And while we have a moment, get your young White Sox fan in the game. Sign him up for the 2013 Kids Club presented by the University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. All-star members will receive a youth jersey, White Sox cap, ticket coupons, and more. So sign up today at whitesox.com. And here comes Rob. And he wants Nate. And listen to this hand. Listen to the hand throw. Chris Sale.
At first base in a base stealer, Alcides Escobar. And there's Luka Jones, 8-0 last year, ERA 2.39. A lot of work, 71 2/3 innings. That his first year in the major leagues. And he'll be facing a very tough hitter in Billy Butler.
And Escobar 35 for 40 last year in stolen bases. And here is the best hitter in this lineup, Billy Butler. Just a decent lead. There's that fastball. That one at 97, taken high and wide. Again, Billy Butler, as we mentioned earlier, I don't care how hard you throw. If you're more or less a one-pitch pitcher, he can turn you around. And he falls behind him 2-0.
Escobar has taken a couple of false starts at first base. He wants to see what kind of a lead and what kind of a jump he can get, as he's just about ready to go.
Butler, that one at 96.
Fortunately, it was a little up and out of Butler's comfort zone, and he fouled it straight back.
Leafs faced Nate 6 times, has 2 hits, 1 double and 1 homer.
Well, Nate would love to get him to the point where he could wipe him out with his slider. And that'll be the secret this year, is getting his slider over the plate. When he does, nobody hits it. When he can't, then he has some problems.
The hitter has got to know that a guy can get his breaking stuff over, whatever it is. If he knows that, he's not as quick.
Looks to me like Escobar, on the last pitch at least, was ready to take off. Rusty Kuntz, first base coach, has the time that Jones comes to the plate.
And that is high and going foul into the seats.
There's a look at Rusty Kuntz, who's been around a long time.
One of the nice guys in the game. Used to wear that White Sox uniform, and just a nice person he is.
There's a look in at Tyler Flowers.
There he goes, and he steals it. Ball in the dirt. Good effort by Tyler.
Good jump. That's a slider. If Tyler doesn't pick that one, Escobar is standing at third base.
So a full count to Butler. I tell you, playing these guys is just like having your fingernails pulled. Every game.
Never put much daylight between the two teams.
And that's ball 4 with the wild pitch.
Well, Matt Thornton is out there, and Moustakas is coming up to bat. And here comes Robin. So with Matt Lindstrom also throwing, possibly for Perez. If this inning stays alive, it's going to be Matt Thornton to face Mike Moustakas with the game on the bases and 2 outs here in the top of the 8th inning. So we'll step out and be back after these messages.
Or Android. Get spring training scores, stats, highlights, live audio, and more. Text that back to 31826 or visit whitesox.com.
It's our Honda call to the pen. And it is Matt Thornton. Thornton inherits base runners at first and third. Jared Dyson has taken over to pinch run at first base. He's got great speed. There's a look at Matt from last year. The ERA just under 3.5. Just 1 out to get, and very tough Mike Moustakas stands in the way.
Terrific speed at first. And first pitch strike. Moustakas Struck out, popped to second, and hit into a 1-6 fielder's choice. Yes, he did. He could not check it up, and very quickly the count 0-2.
Couple of fastballs back to back. This one inside. Kostakis anticipating a fastball. Didn't like where it was. Tried to check his swing, but Alan Porter said, nope, you did go around.
He gone. That didn't take long. Great job, Matt. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th, leading 1-0.
Tune in as Gavin Floyd and Jeremy Guthrie take the mound on the south side. White Sox Royals, Thursday at 12:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Kelvin Herrera comes into the ball game. Shields for 6, Crow for 1, and now Herrera comes in, hard-throwing right-hander. Only gave up 4 home runs last year. He averaging just about 8 strikeouts per 9 innings of work. And he inherits a 1-0 deficit as a heart of the order, trying to get at least 1 insurance run before Addison Reed will come in and try to nail it down. And what a job by Matt Thornton.
Well, he hits 102 a lot, and he has the highest average fastball in the big league.
We saw him last year, and he was pretty impressive and doesn't walk too many folks. Walked 1 every 4 innings, which for a guy that throws this hard is excellent control.
Well, he averages on his fastball 98.5 miles an hour.
You can see it right there.
It's 2 for 3.
It's a very young, hard-throwing pen for these Royals.
Change up. And the count 2-0. Yeah, and they're only like 5'10". He's 5'10". Then you got Tim Collins.
You know, who's about 5'7", with a huge curveball.
3-0 the count. Down on deck. Paulie in the hole. Alex faced Herrera 3 times, has 2 hits. And there's the leadoff walk. So the first walk of the game, James Shields was like you expected him to be. Good. He went 6 innings, 1 run, 5 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Crow in an inning. So done hitting behind Rios. Last year, Alex hit 100 points more than Adam. He hit 304. Adam hit 204. And the on-base percentage, Rios led him by 1 point.
Well, Adam's going to take a whole lot of strikeouts, and with 5 pitches out of the zone, 5 consecutive pitches out of the zone, Perez goes out to have a word with Herrera to try to settle him down.
Temperature as we speak, if you're just tuning in, 35 degrees.
Yeah, but it's a dry 35.
You know what hurts?
A lot of fans showed up today despite these frigid temperatures.
There's the strike. Well, opening day cures a lot of temperatures, unless it's obviously raining hard or snowing hard.
We're not supposed to get any of that for a bit.
There he goes. And he is safe. 1-2 the count to Dunn.
Perez did not get off a good throw. Alex with a good jump. It was a good ball to throw, but doesn't stick in the glove.
So that certainly changes the dynamic of the inning. Adams 0 for 3 against Herrera with 2 strikeouts. Nice block by Perez.
One of the things this will do with Rios at second base is force Moustakas a little closer to third. Normally he'd just as soon set up where the shortstop sets up, but as you can see, he's got to protect against Rios trying to steal.
As Adam goes down for out number 1.
Looked like for a moment Adam wasn't sure if he got 3 of them.
So here's Paulie. Paulie 0 for 3. He's due. He's lined out to right, looped out to center, and flying to center. That is a huge, huge run out there at second base. Is that breaking ball in the dirt?
Perez has been very, very good today at blocking everything down. Nothing has gotten by him.
Paulie's 0 for 2 against Herrera. That pitch at 99.
Not only 99, but 99 low and away on the black.
That ball high in the right field. Alex tagging, but he's not going anywhere on Francoeur. So 2 out. And it's up to Tank. Tank is 1 for 3. Single to left, grounder to third, and a line out to center. Tank has faced her 3 times and has 2 hits. Another nice block by Perez. Boy, he's a good-looking young catcher.
Not much he can't do, and we saw how strong he is today with that line drive rocket off the left field wall. Fortunately, that one didn't get up a little higher.
Ate him up, sawed him off. Got to get a new wand.
That ball had good late movement. That just followed. Casiedo inside. He tried to get his hands out. Nothing doing.
That one at 96. Got to cinch it up and hunker down right here, Tank. 1-2 the count. For their guys in the ninth, it'll be Perez, Hosmer, and Kane. Well, what a great feeling for a pitcher when you don't have to worry about the ball getting by the catcher if it's in the dirt.
No, he's not getting by Perez. He drops down, doesn't necessarily try to catch it, make sure he blocks it.
Got him. We're into the ninth. We lead at 1-0.
For 4. Ramirez 2 for 3. The crew, Alejandro Diaz 0 for 4. Looks like a blowout so far the way I'm looking at it. So we've got Connor Gillespie, who comes in the game to play first base defensively, and Addison Reed. That ERA last year, very deceptive. 21% of his runs came in one May appearance. 29 of 33 in save opportunities. That pencils out to 88%. And he averages 94.5 miles per hour on his fastball.
Nice pitch, didn't get it. And the count 1-0 to Perez, who is 1 for 3. That hard single off the wall and left, and a couple of strikeouts. Chris Sale, if you're just tuning in, was just awesome. 7 2/3. As that fastball is fouled back. Giving up no runs on 7 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts.
And a good straight change and even a better slider today. He was able to hit the outside corner to the right-handers as well as drop it low and into the right-handers.
Big out. Well, to a lot of people, his slider looks like a curveball.
Well, it breaks big enough to be called that, and I guess the term that they came up with the last couple of years is a slurve, because from down there, that ball stays on the same plane for a while, but fortunately it does dip down.
But then when he does throw his curveball, you can tell because it's a big sweeper.
It is a, yes. Large breaking ball.
Hosmer is 1 for 3. Takes it inside. Two and one to count for the 23-year-old Eric Hosmer. He has tremendous power everywhere. Left, center, center. And that's the outside ball 3 with Lorenzo Cain on deck.
That's really what happened to Hosmer last year is he got very pull happy. When he's right, he'll drive the ball to left center field. That's when you'll have a good idea that he's starting to come out of whatever his difficulties were.
And a full count.
Hosmer thinking he could convince Jerry Lane that that ball was inside, but it had the whole plate.
The payoff pitch. As we mentioned, Hosmer last year 16 for 17 on stolen bases. So here's Cain. He's gone out to right, struck out, and then was robbed on, for us, the big play of the ball game. A brilliant play by Beckham. Takes first pitch strike.
Two double plays turned behind Chris Sale. And if Cain hits his ball on the ground, they're going to have to really hurry to turn to third.
That breaking ball down. Yeah, Hosmer can run, so can Cain. Better be hit hard. There you see 2 for 3 against Addison.
So far, Addison has been unable to get that slider over the plate. That one dips a little low.
Here's where you got to make a decent pitch. And the count evens at 2.
Tyler wants it low and away. Instead, this ball is right down the middle.
I'm glad Cain could not pull the trigger on that one.
He was guessing balls.
Big pitch, the 2-2. Here goes Hosmer. There's a strike him out. And he's safe.
Addison slow to home plate, and that allows Hosmer that extra step, and that's what he needed. Also, what Reed is going to have to do is he's going to make sure that that man at first base is stationary, because Hosmer had all his momentum going towards second. It wasn't quite a walking lead, but almost, which gave him some momentum and allowed him to steal it. And when you go into your stretch, you got to make sure that guy is stationary at first, or it's going to cost you a base.
That gave him a ton of momentum right there.
And he represents a tying run.
And here's Francoeur, who is 2 for 3. And he has faced Addison 6 times, has 3 hits. Alexei. Yes! And this ball game is over. So for the first time since 05, the Sox win opening day 1-0. And of course, we know what they did in 05.
Pretty exciting game today, and it was pitching and defense that told the tale, along with the towering home run by Tyler Flowers. Good job by Addison Reed. He got 1 slider over the plate. It was the last pitch to Francoeur, who tried to turn on it, and he grounded harmlessly to Ramirez. What a day it was here on opening day 2013.
How about that play by Gordon Beckham?
Well, checking back to the 7th inning, with Kane up and a runner at first and nobody out, Gordon Beckham right there on a vicious line drive. That ball finds the gap. It's going to put runners at first and third with nobody out. And then Matt Thornton coming in the game with the runners at first and third. 1-2, the third, a high fastball by Moustakas. And those 2 plays, more than anything else, turned the tide in this one and meant the difference in a 1-0 win.
So before a sellout crowd of 39,012, the Sox in a very, very, we expected 2 opening day pitchers to do their job. They certainly did that. And Sale and James Shield, who pitched outstanding.
I thought they both did a great job, and the big difference is Tyler Flowers, who got a hole in one that was up in the zone and took it out. And what a day it was for young Tyler.
And let's go downstairs right now and talk with Tyler. Congratulations, big guy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, I'll tell you, you and besides the home run, obviously, you and Chris just worked in it. It's a great tandem out there today.
Yeah, I tell you, it'd been nice to get a couple more to make it a little less stressful for us. But, Chris threw his tail off. We were hitting spots. We were changing speeds, elevating. He was able to do it all today, which was great.
What was the pitch that Shields threw? It appeared to be up in the zone, Tyler.
I believe it was a changeup. Obviously, he didn't want it there. But yeah, it just kind of stayed elevated. I almost waited too long on it, trying to figure out what the heck it was. But got the barrel on it, and it went out of here.
You caught a little bit of a break right there too, because the cloud cover come in and to come up covered up some of those shadows, so you could see the pitch.
I did notice that.
Yeah, for sure.
Adam came in. He's like, "Boy, it's not easy right now." And once I got up there, I was like, "Well, it looks a lot easier than when you were up here."
Well, Tyler, the last time the Sox won opening day 1-0 was 2005. Uh-oh. That'll bring some memories, won't it?
One day at a time.
There you go, one day at a time. Well, this is a good ball club, buddy, and what a nice job behind the plate, and obviously that home run. Keep going, Tyler Flowers.
Thank you, guys.
And let's check out our GMC player of the game. It is our 24-year-old southpaw, Chris Sale.
Chris Sale was absolutely brilliant today. His slider was perfect. The straight change was certainly a big weapon, and he used the high fastball, which is something that Don Cooper has been asking him to do. So Chris Sale going into the 8th inning before giving way and holding these very tough Royals to a total of no runs.
All right, so for my partner, the Stone Pony, Steve Stone, and Chris Bowden, our director, Jim Angio, our producer, Mike Leary, our associate producer, Chris Kamka, our technical manager, Mark Harper, also the executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. This is a Hawk. So long, everybody. Also up here in the booth, Tom Hoover, Frank D'Amato, Joe Groove, Doug Bullard, in sound. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Yes!